You're good now, Bob.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call. Do we have, quorum?
Yes. Ryan Gallitz, Rob Johnson, and Carol Mayer are excused.
Affidavit of posting, it's on the bottom of the agenda here. Is informed I don't have to read it all. I would like to stand for one moment of silent prayer and pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Like a motion to approve the agenda. Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Who made the motion? Who made the second?
I wasn't at the last meeting.
You can still second it.
Okay, I'll second for me. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Minutes of March 13th meeting.
You just did that.
Okay. Yep, to number 3. Discussion possible action, UW Extension, Community Development, Human Development and Relationships. Who's here to speak on that?
A lot of people. So we're going to start off with Benoit Jacob and Sarah Slasher. They are on Zoom, and they're going to talk about the overview of community development. So I'll have them take it away.
Great. Can you all hear me? Super. Well, thank you for having us. My name is Benoit Jacob. I'm the director of the Community Development Institute, which is one of the 6 institutes that shapes and governs Extension. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about how we operate and some of the things we do. And then I'll pass it on to Sarah Schlosser, who's our program manager for Org Lead and Development. And she will then pass it on to Paul Roback, who's one of the educators in our institute. And so I imagine you all know a lot of what I'm going to tell you, so I apologize for the redundancy. But in our institute, and Community Development Institute, we are staffed by essentially 3 different types of educators. We have integrated faculty, who are faculty that have an affiliation with the institute and are also affiliated with a unit on campus. They provide a lot of the broad national level expertise in the topical areas that define community development. We then have state specialists who offer a similar level of expertise, but focus predominantly within the state of Wisconsin, exclusively really in the state of Wisconsin. And then, of course, we have our educators, which help bring some of that research to the specific nuances of the county. These 3 positions are interrelated. The county issues that the educator is grappling with help shape research at the higher levels, the other levels, and then that research informs the county and so forth. And so we have this kind of virtuous cycle of research and education within the extension. That's how we are staffed. Broadly speaking, then we are comprised into 4 topical areas. So the Institute has a stream of research and education in community economic development. We have a stream of research and education in org lead development and leadership. We have similar research and education in community food systems and local government education. And so we have state specialists, integrated faculty, and educators in each of those areas. And depending on the needs of the county, one of those areas will be most predominantly represented. So to provide some depth into one of those areas, I'll pass it over to Sarah, who will talk about her programming area in org development and leadership.
Yeah, thanks, Benoit. Good afternoon, everyone. So in organizational leadership development, we focus on maybe what seems obvious, building the capacity of organizations in communities, and that is wide-ranging, includes local governments, nonprofits, and other community-serving organizations. And then we also focus on building leadership. So leadership, individual leaders, but also the leadership of boards and the members of organizations. Another significant role that organizational and leadership development educators provide is helping to design group process. And so we often find our organizational and leadership development educators playing a role when a major event happens in a community and there's a need to bring partners around the table, to convene those partners, to engage in design and engage in a process where community members and various partners are included in that process. And I'll give an example that's playing out on the other side of the state from you right now. You may have heard in the Chippewa Valley about the HSHS closures, the hospital closures. We actually do not have an educator in the Chippewa Valley at the moment because we're in the process of hiring. However, if we'd had an educator in place and weren't in the middle of hiring, that educator would have been right at the table as soon as those closures were announced, right alongside the chamber task force and the local government partners who came together. And in a role like that, our educators would be helping to, again, connect the partners, helping to identify what sort of process does the community need to use in order to get the input that is needed to address that very timely, relevant, and immediate issue that the community is facing. But connecting that also to what Benoit mentioned, which is our network isn't just the educator, the local educator, it's also the specialists. So in this case of the closures in Chippewa Valley, our local government educator, our law educator, our law specialist has actually been pulled in already into the Chippewa Valley and is helping the partners who are looking at what are the options, what can they do in this particular situation. And so he's been lending his particular law expertise, local government expertise, and even some expertise related to cooperatives and different models to those community partners as they're trying to figure out how to deal with this, again, immediate and real incident or situation in the community. And I think that's a great example of how we partner our local educators and their area of expertise. So in this case, helping with group process, convening partners, and getting community input alongside of then the expertise of a specialist that's relevant to the issue. So I don't want to go too much longer. I'd rather, sort of open it up for any questions that you might have for Benoit and I about our work. And I know Paul has some things prepared to talk more about what community development has looked like in Washington County over the past few years.
Hey, Paul. Well, great, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul Roback, and for the last 16 years, I have served as your community development educator here in Washington County. I recently departed for another opportunity in extension, and I was asked to come in and kind of provide perspective of what we accomplished over the last 16 years with me in this position. So in your packet, you received an overview of the community development program. So I'm going to provide a little bit of historical perspective, how the position has changed over time. The needs assessment, how that kind of drive the programming over the last 16 years. I'll briefly talk about some of the programs that occurred over that time, and then the outcomes that were measured and achieved as a result of the programs. So the community development position in Washington County was created in 1976. So it's been here for 48 years. And in that time, there's only been 2 educators in the position. Myself and Dan Wilson was my predecessor, who started the position in 1976. And back then, the position was hired to work in natural resources, tourism, and home horticulture. So like growing fruits and vegetables at home and plants at home and landscaping your yards and that type of stuff. Over the years, 48 years, that position changed quite a bit. By the time I joined in 2007, we weren't doing any of that anymore in the position because the needs of the community had changed. Over that time, horticulture was dropped in lieu of some of this organizational development work and also downtown work and working with primarily city of West Bend and the city of Hartford downtown areas. The programming also increased over time as well. Another educator was hired and shared originally with Ozaki and Sheboygan County, and that educator was focused on small business development. After a few years, one county pulled out of that arrangement, and then the position was reimagined into growth management. And that had to do with in 2001, when Wisconsin passed its comprehensive planning smart growth legislation. We hired an educator to provide education on that as well as public participation. And that position was shared with Sheboygan County. So this idea of sharing positions across counties has been around for quite some time in extension. Due to some budget years here in Washington County, that position was originally eliminated in Washington County in around, I think right around 2010. My history is a little fuzzy on that off the top of my head now. But I was brought in about 2007, at the end of 2007, really to focus in on organizational development with nonprofits and to work with local governments in the county, specifically Washington County government and the local communities, the governments and local communities. Why? So you heard Benoit talk about a variety of different programs. The Institute also does community development, community economic development. There's parts of that I draw upon, and there's resources that I draw upon when needed at the local level. Food systems was another one. And then, of course, he mentioned local government. And so I relied on the local government program quite a bit over the years as well, although I'm housed specifically with Sarah in the organizational leadership development program. But because of the way Extension works, I can call upon resources across the Institute in order to respond to the local needs. So when the position was vacant between Dan Wilson and myself, there was a visioning process that was held with a variety of community stakeholders, including members of your predecessors. Back then it was called the Education and Culture Committee, and the county administrator and community stakeholders as well. And they identified organizational development and leadership development as the focus for the position moving forward. So in the 16 years I've been here, that has been primarily my focus. I rely on other data as well from the census, from working with local governments and with nonprofits. They identify needs that they need a response to. So my programming has shifted over time to respond to those needs. For example, in addition to strategic planning, I added the board development workshops to help nonprofits build their capacity to strengthen their board members. And then also receiving feedback from other community stakeholders, including oversight committees and the county administrator, county executive, and others. So then I've included my response over the years. In those 16 years, you can see the projects that I've done in Washington County, specifically for Washington County government, for the county board. Most recently was the Samaritan Ad Hoc Committee of the county board, but twice I've been involved with the county board structure and reorganization that included restructuring the committees and also included downsizing the county board twice. In the past, I've also been involved with strategic planning and also Fair Park, the Fair Park Study Committee. I've done projects for the county executive over the years. I'm not going to read through all of these. I just wanted to mention some of the highlights for you. One other thing I wanted to mention, you heard Benoit talk about the three types of positions we have. We have the county-based educator, we have state specialists, and then we have these integrated faculty. And they have these joint appointments with other UW-Madison campus entities. One of those integrated faculty members was here last year. Professor Steve Deller was here because there was an identified need by the county that they were interested in researching the egg supply chain in Washington County and determine if there's any missing links in that. So that's something that's beyond my capabilities. So I would say not really outside of my expertise. So we're able to rely on an egg economist to come in here and conduct that research and provide that data to the county. You can see also in my response how I organized it by community in the county, because I think it's important to see that although I've done a lot in West Bend and for Washington County, my programs really did span across from Germantown up to Kewaskum, from Hartford over to Newburgh as well. And although I may not have worked in every community every year, it kind of came in spurts where For a while there, I was doing a lot in Germantown. I was working with the chamber, I was working with the village, and then that winds down. Then I'm working with Hartford on a couple of projects. So it kind of ebbs and flows over the years. I think that's one of the advantages of having somebody in the position, and the position is stable, that they can be here for a long time. You can really see how you have the full reach across the entire county. And then, of course, at the end of the list, you'll see the countywide organizations. I've worked with a lot of nonprofit organizations through the years. Pretty much every organization you could probably think of, I've had the fortunate opportunity to work with. Usually, because I'm just one person, I don't go out there, and I didn't have to go out there and market myself. That enough people knew about me and they were coming to me. I only have so much capacity and so much bandwidth, so that I was able to keep up with the demands of the position. However, through networking with organizations that also touch nonprofits, like the United Way and the Volunteer Center in Washington County, the impact of the programming and the kind of like the marketing for the programming did exceed beyond just me responding to requests that I received. The last thing that I included in the packet for you, and the last thing I'll talk about, is outcome measurement. So when I work with organizations, at the end of each session, I do an evaluation. At the end of each year, I do what's called a longer term evaluation. So the short term evaluation, at the end of the workshop, end of the engagement, that's just measuring like, how did we do together at this time? Did we accomplish what we wanted to do? Did we meet the objectives that we had outlined in this program that we're doing together? The longer term evaluation is important because you want to see how they've used that information. I teach or I facilitate a workshop or a program. That's great if that program really works for them in that moment. But how do they apply that knowledge? Not only to they gain knowledge, but how are they applying it and using it? And so how are they strengthening their organization as a result of it? How are they fulfilling their mission and serving the community? And has the community improved as a result? And so that's what that longer term outcome measurement is. So at the end of the year, after about a year, I go back and reevaluate those organizations to see how we did. And you can see that organizations agree and strongly agree that over a longer period of time, the organizations have been strengthened and been more strategic in fulfilling their mission, and they've increased their capacity to address those community needs. I also included the evaluation results of the Real Colors program. You've heard me talk about this before. That's the staff development workshop. That's similar to Myers-Briggs, but much more easy to apply. We've done it here with county employees. Over 700 county employees have gone through it. We've also done it. This is a program that I co-teach with Carol Rowell. Hey, Carol, there she is. She's just coming back from a program that she was teaching. And so we co-teach that together. Primarily, I'd say like 99.5% of those workshops were done together. So half of the participants were here, county employees, the other half were out in the community. So we did those programs with the local leadership programs, both in Germantown and West Bend. We did that with local nonprofits. We also did that with a few local businesses and also school districts. And the short-term evaluation from that was also included in your packet. So I will finish there if you have any questions for myself as well as Benoit and Sarah on Zoom.
Paul, thank you. The one question that I had, you talked about the long-term evaluation of the programming.
Mm-hmm.
Any sense of, I guess, which programming, or is that inclusive of all? Did any one or theme stand out over that period of time?
Sure. So the response, the educational response by organization does change a little bit. So sometimes a nonprofit will want board development, maybe staff development. Another nonprofit will want strategic planning. So sometimes it's a little hard to say that there's a blanket lesson learned, but there are things that come out of it. So I think the biggest challenge, and with any strategic planning process, is really the implementation, right? So I build their capacity and we develop the strategic plan, but then we try to build a plan that's flexible enough that when things change and maybe there's new funding or funding source decreases, or maybe COVID happens, or maybe board members leave, or maybe the executive director leaves, that the strategic plan is flexible enough that it can accommodate and adjust those. So what we find is that those plans are probably useful for about 3 years, and then after that, they really need to be refreshed again. So probably the biggest themes that I learned from that is really, you know, because organizations are so dynamic and changing so much, that there's always like this constant need to like refresh things and think strategically again. Long are the days, you know, back in the days, it used to be like, what's your 10-year plan? What's your 5-year plan? Well, now we know what's the plan to get through this year, man, because that's hard enough. And
It wouldn't be on 3 years.
yeah, exactly.
Direction.
So it really has scaled down quite a bit to really focus on what can be achieved this year versus what we can postpone to year 2 and 3.
So is it fair to say, based upon that statement, that from when you started to date, you saw clients, if you call them, more often then?
Yeah, I mean, there's a pretty frequency that, you know, usually in 3 to 5 years, they'd re-engage with me. And then if something did really come up again that was a shock to the system, they might re-engage me sooner than that. So like I said, like if the executive director leaves and the new one comes in, I was like, okay, we have this plan. Let's revisit it. Let's refresh it with our new talent that we have and see how we can move forward.
Thank you, Brian.
It's just like here, excuse me, it's just like here at the county, right? So, you know, we did the reorg once and county board downsizing once. We gave it a try. We saw how that worked. And then a couple of years later, it's like, okay, let's revisit this. You know, there are additional tweaks that can be done with our org chart and committee structure. And are there additional changes that we can make with the county board size?
Thank you, Brian. Any other questions of Paul?
Yeah, I have a quick question. Paul, I don't want to stop you when you started out. Did you say you're stepping away from this role?
Yeah, I did already.
Oh, I'm
So,
sorry. I missed that.
yeah, sorry. Yeah.
How long has that been?
I left 6 weeks ago.
Okay, very sorry to hear that.
Yes, so just to clarify, this position has been vacant for about 6 weeks, and then the position we're gonna hear about next will be vacated April 12th.
Okay, all right, thank you, Paul, and good luck in your new
Thank you.
role.
So I guess I just want to say about vacancies, it's another opportunity to like reevaluate, right? To and set your priorities and how you want to move forward with position.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Paul. Any other questions?
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right. I'm not as tall as Paul. So we're gonna have our next individual come up. Danielle Harston Green is the Institute Director for Human Development and Relationship. And then Jenny Abel is the Program Manager for Financial Education. So they're both gonna be coming up. And Michael, can you share so they can use the screen for their PowerPoint? Yeah.
Thank you. I just want to take a moment to thank you for extending this invitation for us to join you today, all the way from Madison, Wisconsin. My name is Danielle Harrison Green. I am the Institute Director for Human Development and Relationships. And today I am accompanied by our Financial Security Program Manager. And we hope that we can share with you a broad overview of our Institute and then narrow down our focus to specific programming that's available throughout the Institute. And then we'll turn it over to our county educator to spend some time sharing the impact of her work within the county itself. And so just as a, kind of cap, human development as a discipline, it is multidisciplinary. It is a field that encapsulates a lot of disciplines like psychology and sociology, community psychology, genetics, and the list goes on. And it helps us to understand how people change and evolve while retaining their unique essence. Our institute equips county educators to positively shape the lives of individuals and families by offering support and empowering insights as it relates to building healthy relationships with children and loved ones, establishing healthy financial practices, and supporting aging families and their caretakers across the state. And so again, across the state, our educators work collaboratively and individually to meet the needs and change the lives of families in every county. And in our most recent reports, our educators have made 48,000 educational contacts in 2023 and have established more than 200 partnerships and collaborations. And in your handout, you'll see a good infographic around that. Our county educators not only bring their unique skills and expertise to the county, but they also work with their fellow peers within the HDR to keep their thumbs on the pulse of the latest research and trends that serve to inform them as they are developing innovative and creative programs and initiatives that impact the lives of their participants. We currently have about 32 county extension educators serving 30 counties across the state. We have 9 specialists and 3 program managers with unique expertise. And these educators, program managers, and specialists have reported in 2023 more than 120 ways in which they have shared their expertise, not only impacting our state, but individuals across the country through their contribution to published book chapters, presentations in local, state, and national professional conferences, and authors of peer-reviewed journal articles. The specialists and program managers support the educators in the development of curricula, providing monthly professional development, best practices, and reporting their impact, program planning, evaluation design, and the creation of new and innovative approaches for program delivery, representing a variety of disciplines, including parent and child development, family and consumer economics, justice-involved families, mental health, research design, community psychology, vulnerable and underserved young children, communications, and aging families. And at this point, I will turn it over to Jenny Abel, our Financial Security Program Manager, and she'll share with you some details about the specific programs available through HDO.
Thank you, Daniel. Jenny?
Thank you, Danielle. So thank you so much for the opportunity to address you today. As you deliberate the future of Extension of Washington County, I'm here to highlight the impactful HDR programs that have made a difference in this community, along with some of the others that we offer in our suite of available options. So these initiatives have empowered individuals, they've strengthened families, and they have enriched lives. So first on your screen and also on your handout, you'll see our list of financial education programs. Encouraging Financial Conversations, the program listed at the top, was actually created by the esteemed Carol Brolick, who you'll be hearing from in just a little bit. This program fosters open dialogue about money matters between helping professionals and their clients. It encourages families to discuss financial goals, budgeting, and saving strategies. And by breaking down barriers, we empower our community members to make informed decisions. Financial coaching provides personalized guidance to individuals and families, whether it's managing debt, building credit, or planning for major life events. This service offers support and education. Money as You Grow is designed for children ages 3 to 10. This program instills essential financial literacy skills. From understanding the value of money to making smart choices, Money as You Grow equips our youth for a financially secure future. Money Matters is a series of online virtual self-study modules that cover topics like budgeting, dealing with debt, and retirement planning. Participants gain confidence in handling their finances, leading to greater financial stability. Money Smart and Head Start is a series of newsletters that get sent home with Head Start parents. And by planting the seeds of financial literacy early on, we set the stage for lifelong financial well-being. Those newsletters are available in English and Spanish. Planning Ahead is one of our newer programs, and that's one that Carol teaches a lot here in Washington County. This is a joint effort between our financial education programs and our lifespan programs, which you'll be hearing about in just a little bit. It equips individuals with tools to create end-of-life plans for themselves or loved ones, whether it's estate planning, end-of-life choices, or funeral planning. We guide community members toward detailed decisions that will ease the transition for loved ones who are left behind after a person's passing. Reentry Ready Focus on Finances is also one of our newer programs. For those reentering society after incarceration, financial literacy is crucial. This program provides essential skills to navigate financial challenges during the transition. Rent Smart. Housing stability is intertwined with financial health. Rent Smart educates renters on their rights, responsibilities, and budgeting skills, promoting stable housing situations. Youth Forward Wisconsin, the last one that you'll see on this slide. So setting up youth for success helps ensure that they will stay in their home communities. From educating families about 529 plans and student loans to post-secondary options, Youth Forward Wisconsin helps families plan for paying for the training youth will need beyond high school. As with community development, HDR has 3 program areas. Our second one here is family engagement and relationships, and I'm going to highlight a few of those programs. Raising a thinking child. Effective parenting involves nurturing critical thinking skills in our children. This program equips parents with strategies to foster curiosity, problem solving, and emotional intelligence. Triple P, what's also known as the Positive Parenting Program. Parenting can be challenging, but Triple P provides evidence-based tools from managing tantrums to building strong parent-child bonds. This program supports our families. The Literacy Link strengthens family bonds through shared learning experiences by facilitating connections between justice-involved parents and their children. Focus on Fathers. Engaged fathers contribute significantly to child development. This program encourages active fatherhood, emphasizing positive role modeling and effective communication. Co-parenting. When parents collaborate, children thrive. Co-parenting workshops facilitate healthy communication and conflict resolution between separated or divorced parents. And Raising Wisconsin's Children. Our children are our future. This annual virtual conference provides resources, workshops, and support networks for parents, ensuring that our kids grow up in nurturing environments. Our Strong Couples programs knows that healthy relationships are the bedrock of strong families. Strong Couples workshops enhance communication, conflict resolution, and intimacy. Our third program area is that of Lifespan. These are programs that focus on providing resources and education for older adults. Aging Mastery Program. So as our population ages, this program equips seniors with tools for successful aging. From health management to financial planning, we empower older adults. Caregiver support. Caregivers play a vital role in our community. This program offers resources, respite, and emotional support for those caring for loved ones. And our Wise Wisconsin program series, because you already heard about planning ahead, that's the joint partnership between financial and Lifespan. So the Wise Wisconsin program series knows that lifelong learning is essential. Wise Wisconsin provides a diverse range of workshops, seminars, and activities for our older adults. So in conclusion, these programs have touched countless lives. I'd like to recognize the tireless efforts of Carol Brolick and celebrate the success stories of the many programs that she has brought to the county, including Planning Ahead, financial coaching for Work and Wheels participants, and the annual child care conference that just recently took place. And those are just a few examples, and I know that she will share more in just a minute. So together we know that we can shape a brighter and a more resilient Washington County. I'll now turn it back over to Danielle to share more information about how HDR's programs are touching the lives of Washington County residents.
Thank you. And so we kind of went over some broad overview of the Institute and then got into the actual programs that we're delivering. So I do want to review or talk a little bit about some of the grants that have had an impact on this particular county. I want to share that our colleagues do amazing work with identifying grants that would help them bring a lot of their research-informed ideas to fruition. Most recently, a few of those grants have directly benefited Washington County, and some others will in the future. These grants support financial wellness at work, our Reentry Ready initiative, a new project to support survivors of domestic violence and renting, as well as a new project focused on early childhood education, and that information can be found in your handout. As we move forward into 2024, our Institute is midway through our strategic planning process, which we project will be published by July 1st, 2024. And as the Institute Director, a few of my priorities that would most resonate with your county and intersects with the work of financial education includes prioritizing expanding access to programming throughout the states to ensure it reaches a broader audience. A few ways that we hope to accomplish that is through providing more virtual programming options to reach individuals and communities that lack physical access to our resources, and establishing more non-traditional partnerships with community organizations, schools, and other stakeholders to expand the reach of our programming. Another important priority involves our fatherhood work. We will continue to provide robust support for developing and implementing programs and initiatives that reflect the needs of fathers throughout Wisconsin. A few ways that we hope to accomplish this are to continue to disseminate the findings of the statewide fatherhood needs assessment that took us about 2 years to do, host workshops, seminars, and conferences, and share best practices in fatherhood programming. We would also like to collaborate with community organizations, government agencies, and academic institutions to develop and implement evidence-based programs for fathers, provide training and resources for staff to enhance their expertise in supporting fathers and promoting positive father-child relationships. And finally, I'm prioritizing broadening our programmatic efforts to address the needs of justice-involved families, including adult reentry and juvenile justice. A few ways that we will accomplish this is to continue to develop partnerships with relevant stakeholders, such as correctional facilities, probation departments, and community organizations, to enhance collaboration and program delivery, and to design and implement evidence-based programs and interventions that cater to the unique needs of justice-involved families. So I just want to thank you for the time, and now I'll turn it over to our esteemed educator, Carol Braylick, and she will share her work that she does in this county to impact the lives of individuals within Washington County.
Excuse me, Danielle, I had a question. So you talked about, if I think the previous slide has talked about a goal is to expand access to programming, is that right?
Yes.
So I guess the question I have is, how much of programming participation is push or pull?
How much is push or pull? So there's about, in terms of the way we facilitate?
No, the way people participate. How do you get participation? Is it push or pull? I mean, there are two ways, right? You can send people to it, or you can attract people to it. So is it DIY? Do you go out and the extension site and see? And for example, that's how I attended the AHEAD program, is I became aware of it and was interested in it. So I was pulled. But presumably the justice program might be pushing, I think, right? There might be some participants that might be required to, anyways.
Yeah. Not necessarily for the justice involved families. Like, so that is a bit basically them just kind of deciding that they want to be a part of it. So we go into the prisons and we offer different types of programming for those who are incarcerated, and that's the literacy. This is a wonderful opportunity for them to connect with their families. So they get really excited about having these opportunities, getting the literature. Most of them are enhancing their own literacy through doing the reading program. We record them reading books, and then we send the copies of the books to their children that are at home. And so therefore their kids have the recording of them reading and the book so that they can feel like their families is connected. So that's an opportunity for them to participate, and it's not required of them. There are some situations where there is a bit of a push, where we have like the co-parenting workshops where families are mandated into these programs. For some of our programs like the parent conference that we did in January, all of that is just them looking for resources. So they go into our online portal, they see that there's opportunities and they register. Last year, we had 750 parents register for our online conference. We had about 9 workshops and speakers from all over the country present. And so there's a little bit of a balance, but most of it is them just kind of pull to our website, pull to the resource, word of mouth, and that's how we get our numbers for our participants.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Carol Brolick, the Human Development and Relationships Educator. I think we were just here a couple weeks ago for the annual report, so you may hear a few tiny repeats, but also some highlights as well. And actually, if I could just jump back to Danielle's response and add something to that, I think in the past in Washington County, the push-pull or the pull has also been working with partner agencies. Because, for example, Head Start, they have 120 families. That's how many they can have through their grant dollars. They are sharing programs like the Money Smart and Head Start that Jenny shared. They're getting the newsletters, but then I also offer a workshop and I work with those family advocates to find out, well, what are the financial concerns that they are expressing. When the advocates meet with each family before each school year, they go through a checklist of things and families can say, yeah, I'd like some more information on financial, on credit or whatever it might be, along with a lot of other services from other community agencies. So to just, put a flyer out there and say, hey, we're having this workshop on credit, usually doesn't get the response that we would like to have. I think a lot of people want to do these things, but also it's the life getting in the way. And it's also, it's funny, finances are a difficult thing for people to talk about. And if they think they're coming to this class and talking about their finances in front of others, that's a barrier for them to do that. So sometimes the coaching works better. So I just thought I'd share the partnership and how important the partnerships have really been, no matter what program that really gets families involved. So just thought I'd share that. And then I'll start where I was going to start. Okay, so just background wise, in case you did not know, we've had new committee members over the years. I've been here for 12 years in Washington County and a couple of years before that in Ozaukee County. So financial programming has been the primary focus for the majority of those extension years, and secondary programs revolve around strengthening families, including parenting, planning for end of life, and supporting child care providers. So that area of the second block that Jenny talked about. So community needs were determined initially in 2012 as a new educator by interviewing community agencies that serve families or individuals in the county. So in addition, Washington County specific data from the United Way ALICE, which ALICE stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, and Employed. Some of those reports, census data, and the county's comprehensive plan or strategic priorities are used to determine those needs to see if there's alignment there. So for example, data from the 2023 ALICE report shows that 24% of county residents are living below poverty and ALICE thresholds combined. So that's combined, not all poverty. Poverty is probably around the 4%, and the ALICE is around the 21% or so. And the hourly wage needed to afford basic household budget for Washington County is $33.91 for a family of 2 adults, 1 infant, and one preschooler. This indicates that almost a quarter of families are struggling with financial challenges and maybe looking for budgeting strategies, coaching towards their goals, and resources to help them. Much of this work is done in partnership, as I was explaining, with family serving agencies. One agency, one extension educator cannot do everything, so the partnerships are very important. Therefore, I continue to consistently meet with family serving agencies in Washington County, and typically for us as extension educators, we do a yearly plan of work, and during that process is when, I need to reach out to Family Center and see what types of programs they're looking for, whether it's parenting or childcare or early childhood. Same with Head Start, what they want to focus on this next year. And then that programming is designed based on the needs that they're hearing from their families or their clients. So in addition, Washington County families are being impacted by the higher cost of living due to the impact of inflation and the nationwide childcare crisis. So I'm going to focus on a couple of things there. The HDR program work has revolved around financial capability education for partner organization clients and families, as well as professional development for social workers and other helping professionals in Washington County. So some of the, excuse me, I've been teaching twice before today, so my voice is going. Around the area of basic money management, that general concept can then be applied to a variety of agencies, again, based on their clientele. So Jenny mentioned Money Matters with the Forward Careers Work and Wheels program. That's how we connected that online financial education and coaching with a specific program. Their grants needed to have a component of financial education, so that's where that comes in there. Over the past 3 years, we have had about 75 participants in that. Head Start families, again, workshops and monthly newsletters, and that began when I started here in 2012. And every year since, we've had those newsletters, whether it started out, I think, believe paper copies going home every Thursday in the child's, backpack. Now they're done electronically. So, that's changed a little bit as far as the method. We've also are providing financial resources and Rent Smart resources for over 250 WIC participants at the Resource Connection drive-through over the past 2 to 3 years. The planning of financial literacy programs at the county libraries is something over this last year we've been trying to do kind of a financial literacy theme. And we combined it actually with this year's Money Smart Week, or Money Smart Wisconsin Week. It's changed a little bit through DFI, or Department of Financial Institutions. They're the ones that are kind of overseeing it, where it used to be more of a national program. And last fall, this was kind of the poll. I just put a press release out in some of the other chamber emails. Anyone interested? Is this your passion? Is this something your organization, is it part of your mission to do financial literacy and share more knowledge about that? So I received responses from Consumer Credit Counseling Service, which they have a new executive director who I had not worked from before or with before. Also, new financial institutions in the community that have not been a part of that process in previous years. COVID kind of stopped it for a couple of years because in person, so we're regenerating now. I'm trying to think, Thrivent, so other financial planning types of organizations in the area are also part of that, and that's coming next week, April 10th. So anyway, just a little fun. And the other piece of that, so that's more with individuals, clients, families. And then the other piece of financial education is professional development for social workers. Family advocates have been a part of that as well. Most social workers, when they get their degree, they do not have a financial component to that. And when they work with their clientele, some of their concerns or challenges is financial, or how to keep a budget, whatever that might be. So this was filling that need by providing some content as well as confidence by having the opportunity to think about how can we have or start those conversations with our clients. And actually, that started maybe about 5 years ago here in Washington County. A social worker from upstairs in Human Services came down and said, Carol, what do you have for me? I mean, this person, I want to work with this person and I don't have the materials for what that might be. So I gave some things that I have, but it kind of morphed into, this is not just unique to here locally. So that did expand into a statewide program. Moving into lifespan, I know I've talked a little bit about planning ahead in the past with the annual report as well, but just a little background on that. As the population ages in Washington County, extension programs need to address these changes in conjunction with other programs and community partners. End-of-life planning can be confusing and emotional, which may explain why only 37% of Americans have completed advanced care directives. In 2018, UW Health indicated that out of 41,000 patients, only 40% of those 65 and older had completed advanced directives. And of those 85 and older, only 63% had done that. Again, not a topic a lot of people like to talk about or to, maybe break over the conversation over the holidays, but honestly, that's probably the best place to do it, right? In fact, that's where I was coming from. We just started a new program at Cedar Ridge. During the pilot phase of Planning Ahead in 2021, I contacted the Washington County ADRC director to discuss the need for end-of-life planning in the county to see if that was something that they had thought about. She directed me to talk to the elder benefits specialist, who at that time was a member of an aging community network that identified end-of-life planning education as a need and proactive approach to alleviate the burden on family members who do not plan ahead. And pre-planning would also alleviate part of the strain on public services that ADRC provides, because people aren't waiting to the end when they're in crisis, not sure what to do, contacting the specialist there, and you know, them being overwhelmed. So Extension does have a role in contributing to these and other of the mandatory services that are here in the county. Extension educators throughout Wisconsin indicated a need for educational programs targeted to older adults who are about to or have lost a spouse or partner. So typically that was seen when a husband passed away, and if the husband was the one that typically did the budget, paid the bills, sometimes that spouse really did not know where to start, didn't know where to find passwords, if it, you know, doing electronic things. So that was something that was observed across the state by educators as well. And that is also, excuse me, why Module 2, handling financial changes, was implemented as one of the main modules for planning ahead, because either it's the content that is a change and how to use that content about finances, or even just how to handle those types of things. Let's see, I think over the past couple of years, we've had about 4 or 5 trainings. I think I do that with the elder benefits specialist. Her work, you know, what she does daily on answering questions about advanced directives and those types of questions has really bolstered the program, because that's not my expertise, but the educational piece is, and combined, we've become kind of a dynamic duo, just to say. And the one we started today, we have almost 30 registered, and we had over 25 in a waiting list, you know, moving into this one. So it's becoming, I think, word of mouth, and I think it's getting out there, and we're connecting with ADRC for that to happen. A little bit more, sorry, I'm probably more than what I should be doing here, but anyway, parents do expect and deserve quality childcare. However, Washington County families and businesses are being impacted by the nationwide childcare crisis. So after being contacted by economic support business owners, the Child Care Summit was convened in spring of 2023 to provide a space for childcare providers to have conversations around those challenges. As a result of that, a lot of the providers that attended expressed the need to meet, work together, discuss their challenges, and support one another. This is difficult. We try pulling people together, but they're short-staffed, and the logistics are really difficult. So it's still something I think that is needed and wanted, but logistics are not on their side for that, and it's difficult. I'm also a part of a network that is a collaborative community network that hopes to ensure safe, high-quality childcare and an education system. So I've been chairing that committee. I would say since a little before COVID, it's kind of morphed into planning a childcare conference every year. We did do some online to kind of be flexible during that COVID time as well. But it is something that is only possible through the partnerships. I'm going to bring up partnerships again. On that committee, we have Marine Park Technical College, Head Start, West Bend School District, because that's combined, 4C, Resource and Referral, Family Center, a variety of child care center directors, and First to Three have all been a part of that. And I've also been able to pull in neighboring extension county educators to be presenters and speakers on some of those topics because of their expertise. We've had over 70 participants at those in the last 2 years. And topics for those that we do a theme last year was addressing challenging behaviors. If you talk to any childcare teachers, you know that is something that is always a struggle, because every child has different behaviors. And then also this year we did building relationships. And the sessions they could choose from, we're talking between relations with the child or the children in their classroom, with the parents, parent engagement, as well as their coworkers. We tried rounding all of that out for them. One of the comments from the conference was amazing conference, subject matter hit home to the issues facing childcare centers to meet our goal. And I think Danielle already mentioned the grants that Washington County is being impacted by. The one that I've been working with is the early childhood education grant. We did focus groups to find out what are the needs or what do childcare teachers want for professional development. Washington County hosted one of the 6 focus groups. So they had a chance to put their voice to what extension may possibly offer for professional development in the future. So showing some of those connections with the statewide organization. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. All right, the last piece that we have, unless you have additional questions, I was asked to provide what's going on with the educators in these 2 areas. Like we said, Paul has moved on to another opportunity, so there is a vacancy there. And Carol's last day will be the 12th of April, and so we'll have 2 vacancies. The personnel cost, that's what I'm focused on. You have in your packet, the little sheet where we talked about the educators' cost. There's a flat fee if they are co-funded with the state. So each educator is $46,247. That's not 50% of it. That's what I get asked a lot, is that 50%. It is not. It's more probably about 30 to 40%, depending on how long they've been in their role. And then in addition to that, the county provides personnel support with the part-time support staff as well as the marketing. I did put on there, like I've done the other task force, what the state contribution is. And this is you'll notice there's a whole laundry list of individuals that support the educators in their role in the county. And the state contribution is over $300,000. So do you have any questions for anyone? Well, thank you. We really appreciate your time and letting Benoit and Sarah join us via Zoom and everybody here. So thank you again.
Thank you. Anything else? Nothing else? The next meeting date?
Listed on the agenda.
Tuesday, April 9th, 7:30 a.m.
Thursday, April 9th.
Thursday.
No. Oh, Tuesday.
April 11th.
No, Tuesday. Okay,
Yeah, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday, April 9th
my bad.
at 7:30.
Any other questions? Motion to adjourn?
You don't need a motion, just adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
You don't need a motion, just adjourn it.
You can adjourn, no further agenda. Thank you.